You know, if there's one thing that I didn't expect for it to happen really soon, it's the fact that there is a card that got retrained at all.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like, the last time we heard about retrain is usually through the encounter cards. But for some reason, and I'll be honest, deservedly so, Bushiroad decided to in a way retrain one of the most important card in any competitive standard deck building, Elementaria Sanctitude. Yes, Bushiroad decided to go with the route where they literally make the same card but has a different kind of effects. But how different are they? And which of the Sanctitude you should go for because you still can only run one of them in the deck? Well, that's what this video is all about. So before we talk about the difference, let's get the base thing down with Elementaria Sanctitude and why it is such an important card. So for those who are not aware what Elementaria is,
you're failing in the highest level.
It is essentially a Blitz order that can only be run one copy in the deck, and it is considered a sentinel, where it works just like any other PG, but you can actually waive the discard cost by fulfilling certain conditions, which usually heavily related to what deck your opponent actually run. And at a glance, you might be asking me, Mac, why is it that you need to run one Blitz order that is technically a PG? Well, to put it in the simplest way possible, this card trivializes guard restrict. You see, being a Blitz order means that you're not exactly calling it to Guardian Circle, but rather you actually play it onto your order zone. This means that Sanctitude actually bypasses all types of guard restrict, with the exception of one obviously, but that is more than enough to actually make the deck really competitive, as it literally trivializes decks like Ronero or Chaos who do have a really disgusting guard restrict and the power to match it, and Sanctitude literally just say nope, not for you. Of course, there are certain cards that does prevent you from playing Sanctitude, but it is so far and few in between, on top of the fact that many of these cards tends to be slightly disruptive to the build of the deck itself.
Are you sure about that?
So overall, I can simply say Elementaria is easily one of the most influential cards in the D standard period. So why exactly Bushiroad have to come up with a retrained version of this card within like roughly 1.5 years since then? Well, in my honest opinion, this is done in a good faith. So for the sake of the differentiation, I'm gonna be calling the brand new Elementaria as Festaria, as it did come from the Festival Collection 2024, and the original Elementaria.
No, he's got a point.
So the main difference for Festaria and the original Elementaria is the fact that, for one, the original Elementaria does have a restriction, and that restriction is that it can only be played if your Vanguard is grade 3. I can kind of understand why they have to implement this at the time it was released, because at the time the grade 4 deck is running rampant. They need a way for the grade 3 or less deck to actually catch up to these grade 4 decks in terms of defense capability, and that's why they came up with this idea, which actually works. But as standard evolved and a lot of grade 3 deck became even stronger than the grade 4 decks, it kind of leave the grade 4 decks in the dust in a way that they cannot use this card.
Why are you like this?
This is where Festarias come in, as this card do not have any strong restriction when it comes to activating just for the PG effect. Okay, so last minute mechanic here, I noticed some of the argument in the video was completely wrong, even if it doesn't really change my perspective on it, as Festaria technically has a condition for it to be playable, and that is you are not running any other type of crest aside from energy generator. The benefit is still there, just that there is a certain part, I'm talking about the strike deck, which I'll be cutting out, so just to inform you guys in advance. So yeah, sorry. This means that now all the grade 4 decks can actually run Elementaria Sanctitude, which is, in my opinion, a really good thing. Especially if you're considering one of the grade 4 decks see a resurgence in a most recent meta in Singapore. Like seriously, why Drajevo slowly but surely getting a very good support that helps the deck over the time is a little bit beyond me, but I'm not complaining. However, this is not the only difference between the Festaria and the original Elementaria, as they do do have a different collision to trigger a discardless PG skill as well.
I don't like where this is going.
Well, for the original, the condition here is that your opponent need to have a triple drive as an ability. This does include certain decks that does convert your Vanguard drive check into triple drive, so it is still useful. But for Festaria, the new condition of the skill is that your opponent need to have a grace card that is not energy generator on that grace zone. So anything that is a strike deck or some of the collab deck are completely being put under restriction because of this brand new Sanctitude.
That's what she said.
So, which of the Sanctitude you should go for? Well, it's not really a black and white answer because both doesn't really have a big variation from it. But if there is one clear fact that I have to point it out is that if you're running a grade 4 deck, definitely has to go for Festaria because you can't even use the original. But if you do run any other grade 3 decks, I do still think running the original still have benefits. But of course, that kind of heavily weighed down to what deck is the meta at the moment, because on certain meta, Festaria might see more play, and on another meta, you might see the original Elementaria being used more often. So it is a little bit of both. But if you ask me, just go for the Festaria. It's a lot more universal compared to the original. But that's my thoughts on the brand new Elementaria Sanctitude and of course the difference between the two in general. But what do you guys think? Do leave down the comments below on which Elementaria you are going for to put it into your deck. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, and this is Mac Megane signing out.